Dear students, and welcome back to the class. We are doing the chapter that is light, reflection and refraction. In the previous class we understood the meaning of absolute refractive index, and we also understood the relation between the absolute refractive index and the refractive index of a given medium, and we did numerical also based on the same concept. Today we are moving to the next concept, that is next topic we have, that is under refraction only. So today we will see that if the light is traveling from one to other medium, then the bending of light will take place. Then in which direction the light will bend, that is what we are going to discuss today. So I hope you will find interest in the class today, and let's continue the class. So the concept we are going to talk about is bending of light. And for this we'll talk about two different conditions, and the very first condition we have, that is light is traveling from rarer to denser medium. So very first we need to understand what is the topic we have, then we'll see all things. So very first let's make a diagram, and this is the line of interface. This is medium 1, this is medium 2. Light is traveling from medium 1 to medium 2. Okay, so this is the incident ray, refracted ray you are able to see, and this is your normal. This is angle of incidence and this is angle of refraction. I hope you are able to see the angles properly. And let the speed of light in medium 1 is v1, speed of light in medium 2 is v2. So very first let's understand what is to be done today. So we are taking the very first case, that the light is traveling from rarer to denser medium. So when you talk about rarer to denser, means from the medium of rarer means low density, that is optical density, to denser medium, that is of high optical density. So just take an example. The light is traveling from air to water. So this is one of the case we can take, like light is traveling from air to water. So you know the optical density of water is more as compared to the air, means we can say overall the light will have more speed in air as compared to the speed in water. So whenever we talk about rarer to denser medium, that is we always try to relate, that is one medium is denser than the other, or one medium is rarer than the other. So we can say here the water is denser than the air, and if the light is traveling from rarer to denser medium, that is from low to high optical density, then what will be the direction of refracted ray in the second medium, that is refractive medium? That is what we are going to discuss. That is the case 1. So here we can write down in place of air and water, this is rarer medium and this is denser medium. And one thing I've already discussed in the previous class, that is when you talk about the optical density, then the optical density is always in comparison. Okay, so for example, if you talk about air, so we understood air is rarer than water, no doubt. So we can say air has low or less optical density as compared to water. But if you compare the air with vacuum, with respect to vacuum, air is denser. So denser with respect to vacuum, but rarer with respect to water. So whenever we talk about rarer and denser medium, it is always in relation with some other medium. So that is to be taken care. So here we are taking the light is traveling from rarer to denser, means one medium is rarer as compared to the other, or we can say the one is denser as compared to the other one. So we cannot say that air is just a rare medium. So we can say air is rarer medium as compared to water, as compared to glass, something like. So that is how we have to remember. when we use the word denser and rarer. So this word is always for a pair of medium, not just for one medium. So I hope the diagram is clear, and now according to the Snell's law, we know the refractive index of 2 with respect to 1 will be sine of I upon sine of R, and that will be also equal to V1 upon V2. This we already understood in the previous last two classes. So this part is clear. Now one thing is understood, if medium 1 is rarer than the medium 2. So we understood in medium 1 the speed of light will be more as compared to the speed of light in medium 2. This is very simple to understand. If the medium is denser, then it is understood somewhere that the light will have less speed as compared to the light or the speed of light in the other medium. So here, since medium 1 is rarer, medium 2 is denser, so we can say in medium 1 the speed of light will be more as compared to the speed of light in medium 2. So we can say V1 is greater than V2, that is understood. Or we can say V1 upon V2 is greater than 1. So if you take V2 this side, this will become, ratio will become greater than 1. I hope this part is clear to you. And if this is understood, then almost all things done. So we'll continue. So from here we can write down sine I upon sine R is equal to V1 upon V2, and according to this equation or relation, this is greater than 1, which means that sine I upon sine R is greater than 1, and it simply means that sine I is greater than sine R, and at last we can say I will be greater than R. So simple derivation, simple mathematics. Only things to be remembered to understand here is the light is traveling from rare to denser, so the speed of light will decrease because in the denser medium the speed will be less. Simple. So we understood V1 is greater than V2, and we just divide it, take the ratio, that is coming greater than 1. According to Snell's law, we know sine I upon sine R is equal to V1 upon V2. This is greater than 1. Sine I is greater than sine R, which means I is greater than R. So we got the very first concept, that is, if light is traveling from rarer to denser medium, then what is happening here? Angle of incidence should be more than angle of refraction. So let's draw this diagram properly. So now I don't need the speed of light and all. This is all done. Rarer, denser, all done. So we understood the light is traveling from rarer to denser medium. That you have to remember. So it is understood from here, that is I must be greater than R, and we know overall this angle is nothing but vertically opposite angle of I. So this is also I. So this entire angle is I, and this is R, which must be less than I. So it is understood from this equation, from this relation, that R can be less than I only if the light will bend towards the normal. So if this is the normal, so only if the ray of light will bend towards the normal, then only the angle of R or angle of refraction can be less than angle of incidence. So we can say simply that if the ray of light is traveling from rarer to denser medium, then in that case the angle of refraction will reduce, it will become less than I, means it must bend towards the normal. So how to decide? This is the real or initial path of the ray, and if the angle R has to be less, then angle of refraction or the refracted ray must be before the initial path. So that is simple thing to understand here, that is, if the light is traveling from rarer to denser medium, R will be less than I, which means the light is bending towards the normal, that is, the light or the refracted ray will be before the incident ray, that is the initial path. So we can say that is light bends towards the normal. So that is one thing we have to remember. If the light is traveling from rarer to dense and medium, that is from low to high optical density, then in that case the ray of light will bend towards the normal. So this is the note and this is your derivation. So I hope you understood how the ray of light will bend in the case when it moves from low to high density. Now we'll talk about the opposite case, that is case 2, light traveling from denser to rarer medium. So just opposite case we'll take, that is the light is now traveling from high to low density. That is opposite of the previous case. So let me draw the diagram again. So this is our medium dividing boundary. This is our incident angle, incident ray. This is our normal. This is our eye. And let's take, we don't know what will come, but still we can take some angle. We'll see. This is angle R. Okay, I have drawn the diagram, but we'll see the relation again. And again, this is our medium 1, medium 2. This is denser medium now, and this is rarer medium now. That is from high to low density. The light is traveling, like the light is traveling from water to air in this case. Just opposite. So speed of light is v1, speed of light is v2. So here the light is traveling from high to low optical density. So it is understood, if it is traveling from high to low optical density, the speed of light will increase, because in rarer medium the speed will be more, in denser medium the speed will be less. So here we understood that is v1 is less than v2. v2 will be greater. Why? Because this is our rarer medium now, and light is traveling from water to air. Okay, so that is one thing we know. Now according to Snell's law, sin I upon sin R will be again equal to what? Speed of light in medium 1 by speed of light in medium 2, and that will be equal to refractive index, but we don't need that relation now. And from here we understood that is v1 upon v2 will be less than 1. So v2 will come this side, so v1 upon v2 will be less than 1. Sin I upon sin R is equal to v1 upon v2, and that must be less than 1, which means that sin I upon sin R is less than 1. If you forget this one, it means that sin I is less than sin R. Sin R will go this side, and it finally means that I will be less than R. That is, now angle of refraction will be greater than angle of incidence if the light is traveling from denser to rarer medium. That's why I have drawn the diagram before derivation. But let's understand. I hope derivation is very simple and understood also. And now we don't need this. We understood light is traveling from denser to rarer medium. So here it is coming, I is less than R or R is greater than I. And to understand this, let's draw a proper diagram so that it will be more clear. So if this is the normal, this is the incident ray, dotted line the initial path of the ray, this is angle I. Now angle R must be greater than I. Now we know this is nothing but vertically opposite angle, that is I only. So if R has to be greater than I, then the refracted ray must go beyond this dotted line, then only R can be greater than I. So we understood from here, that is refracted ray must go beyond this dotted line, that is beyond the initial path of the incident ray, and this is your now refracted ray, then only R can be greater than I. So we understood in this case what you see, this is our normal, and this is our refracted ray. So we understood in this case the refracted ray is moving away from the normal, that is away. In the previous case, this was the normal, this was the initial path, and this is our I. In the previous case, I was greater than R, previous case. So R can be less than only if this will be somewhere here. So this is our R in the first case. So in the first case, the light was bending towards the normal, and here it is bending away from the normal. So we can say that if the light is traveling from denser to rarer medium, then the ray of light will bend away from the normal. So that is how we find out if the ray of light is traveling from one to other medium, then in which direction the ray of light will bend, that is towards the normal or away from the normal. So we can say here in the second case, light will bend away from the normal. So this is the case for denser to rarer medium, and the previous case was the rarer to denser medium. So now you have to remember in which case the light will bend away from the normal or towards the normal, and how to identify if it is towards the normal or away from the normal, that is to be understood with the help of angle of refraction. Can be less than I, can be more than I, and they can be equal in only one case, that is if there will be no refraction. So the refraction will not take place, then only I can be equal to R. Otherwise, in all the cases, if the refraction will take place, they cannot be equal. So I hope you understood this concept. Now we are moving to the next concept based on the derivation we have done just now, that is ray of light through rectangular glass slab. So again, we will not have any derivation, but we'll understand the concept, theory part, glass slab. So just imagine we have a rectangular glass slab. Rectangular means we have a cuboid, and this cuboid is made up of transparent glass. Okay, so we are talking about so this is our transparent glass. So transparent glass, which is in the shape of a cuboid, and we know when you talk about the cuboid, the faces we have are in the shape of the rectangle only. That's why the name is given rectangular glass slab. So this face, back face, this face, this face, this. How many faces we have? I think 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all the 6 faces are basically in the form of rectangle, and that is the concept of the cuboid also. That's why the name is given rectangular glass slab. But always remember, we are talking about a transparent glass in the form of cuboid, so that the light can pass through it. Okay. So the topic is, if the ray of light is passing through this glass slab, then what will happen to the ray of light? In which direction the ray of light will move? What kind of path it will follow? What will be the different angles, different ray, and what kind of relation we will have? So that is what we are going to understand now. So very first you have to remember, when I draw the diagram now, I will be showing you the front face. That is only rectangle. Okay. So the diagram I am going to show you is this only. So you have to imagine this glass slab is placed on the board, so that from the top you are able to see only the rectangular face. Simple. Okay. So this is your top view. This is our side view, we can say, so that we can see all things together. So overall, if this part is clear, then let's go for the concept. So if the ray of light is falling on this glass, then the light will change the medium from air to glass. So before it will pass through the glass, it will change the direction. So it must change the direction within the glass. Again, once it will come out of the glass, again there will be a change of medium from glass to air. Again it will change the direction. So overall, when the light is traveling through a glass slab, 2 times it will change the direction, and we can say 2 times the refraction will take place. But what will be the exact path of the ray of light? That is what we are going to learn now. Okay. So again, based on this, we don't have any derivation, but concepts we should understand properly. So I'm making a fair diagram so that the things can be clear. So I'm making a bigger diagram so that you can see properly. So we can say this is our top view of the rectangular glass slab. Let's give the name also A, B, C and D. So this is our rectangular glass slab, and we just imagine that a ray of light is coming from any direction. So this is our incident ray. So you understood, first the light will be in air, then it will move within the glass, it will pass through the glass, then it will again come back to air. So how many times the medium will change? Air to glass and then glass to air. 2 times the medium will change, so 2 times the direction will be changed of the ray, so 2 times the refraction will take place. Okay, so just remember, this is our glass. I'm not writing here. So this is our normal, and this is our angle of incidence. So we understood this is our incident ray, this is our normal. So let's give the name to this. Let it be N1. N1 is for normal for the first phase. Okay. Now one thing we understood, the light is traveling from air to glass. That is, the light is traveling from rarer to denser medium. Because glass will have more optical density as compared to the air. So we understood the light is traveling from air to glass, that is rarer to denser, and we understood if the light will travel from rarer to denser medium, it will bend where? It will bend towards the normal. So we understood just now, if the light is traveling from rarer to denser medium, the ray will bend towards the normal. So if this is the real path, so let's draw this dotted. This is our the initial path of the incident ray. So after this I have shown you dotted line. It means that this is not the real path now. This is just imaginary line. So if you don't place the glass, what will happen? The ray of light will pass straight away. So this dotted line will be the path of the ray. But once we place the glass, now it cannot move straight away because it will have to change in direction. It will have refraction. So in the first case, the light is traveling from air to glass, it will bend towards the normal, means the light must come below this dotted line. We understood? Towards the normal means the refracted ray must come before the dotted line, and that is nothing but the initial path of the incident ray, and this is our angle of refraction. So I hope you understood. Incident ray, refracted ray, and now this light will come out from the glass. Now once the light will come out of the glass, what will happen? The light will travel from glass to air, that is high to low density. So you understood? If light will travel from denser to rare medium, what will happen? We understood just now. The ray of light will bend away from the normal. That is, it will go beyond the previous path. So what is to be done? Again draw the normal. So second phase will have another normal, and let this normal be N2. N1 is the normal for the first phase, N2 is the normal for the second phase. Don't be confused here. Okay, and this will behave as the angle of incidence for the second phase, because now within the glass this is the ray and it will come out of the glass. So for this particular phase CD, this will behave as an incident ray, and now the ray will come out of the glass. So this ray will come out, but it has to move away from the normal. Okay, so I hope you understood. This ray is moving away from the normal. Let me show you properly. Because the light is traveling from glass to air, that is high to low density. Okay, so now this is the final ray of light that will come out of the glass, and this is also given the name emergent ray. So you must know the name of all the rays we have. So, and within the glass the ray we have, this one is refracted ray, this is our incident ray, and this is our emergent ray. Okay, and this ray will also make angle with the normal, and this angle is called angle of emergence. So I am repeating again, the light is traveling from air to glass and then glass to air. When it will move from air to glass, it will move from low to high optical density, so it will move towards the normal. So R is less than I. Now again it will change the medium, that is from glass to air, that is it will move from high to low density, so the ray of light will bend away from the normal, so the light is traveling this way now. And the new ray which is coming out of the glass is also given the name emergent ray. So here the angle E is nothing but angle of refraction only for the second phase, but this angle is given the name angle of emergence. Okay, because this is the final ray which we are getting from the glass slab. So I hope you understood what are the different angles we have and how the ray of light will travel. So overall, this is the path that is followed by the ray of light, this one, then towards normal and then away from the normal. And finally what we see, that is the incident ray, that is the very first ray. If it is extended in front, that is I've already done with the dotted line, this dotted line and the emergent ray always remain parallel to each other. So that is you have to remember, that is in the case of rectangular glass slab, when the ray of light basically come out of the glass slab, then the emergent ray become parallel to the initial path of the light, that is parallel to the incident ray, the very first incident ray that we had. So here very first we understood I is the angle of incidence, R is angle of refraction based on the diagram, E is your angle of emergence. That is the new thing we are getting here. Okay, so this is one thing. Second thing is, that is to remember, here is the emergent ray becomes parallel to incident ray. So this is the incident ray, this is the emergent ray, and you can see they are basically parallel to each other. So this we do in practical also, we verify, we prove it, and we see all the time that these two rays become parallel to each other. So just remember the points. Next point that we have to remember is in all the cases, our angle of incidence and angle of emergence will remain equal all the time. So that is again we will prove it in the practical. We are able to prove it, that is all the time I and E is they equal all the time. Means if I take I is equal to 20 degree, E will also become 20 degree. If I take I is equal to 60 degree, E will also go 60 degree. So all the time these two angles will remain equal. That is for each and every angle of incidence, angle of emergence will be same, that is equal. That is also we prove. And one more thing we understood, since the light is traveling from air to glass, so angle of refraction will be less than angle of incidence, or we can say R is also less than E, because we understood I and E they are equal, and R is always less than I because the light is traveling from air to glass. So these are the different relations we have. We understood I is equal to E, R is less than I, or R is less than E also, and the incident ray is parallel to emergent ray. So that is we have to remember. So these are the concepts we have, and after this I will discuss one more point. So the very first we should know how to draw the diagram, how to show the different path of ray of light passing through the glass slab. Now we are moving to the next term related with the same diagram. That is finally what we see between these two rays. that is between the incident ray, that is the initial path, and the emergent ray, that is the final ray which is coming out of the glass. Between the two we have a gap. So we can say the light was coming in this direction, and if there was no glass slab, then it will travel straight away, but because of the glass, now final ray is this one. So overall, this is the ray in incident and this is the ray which is emergent. So between this and these two rays we have a gap now. So we can say finally the ray has been shifted. So this was the initial ray and this is the final ray. So we can say the ray is shifted somewhere down, and this shift or displacement is just because of the refraction. So when the light is traveling through the glass, two times it will have refraction, and because of this the ray finally gets shifted before the initial path, and overall it will have some displacement with respect to the initial path, and this displacement, which I can write d, is called lateral displacement. So I hope you understood what I mean, or shift, lateral shift or lateral displacement, they are same thing. So I hope you understood. Because of the two times refraction through a glass slab, the final ray is finally emergent ray which is shifted down. So we can say between the final ray and between the initial ray we have a gap, we have a displacement, we have a shift, and that is given the name lateral displacement or lateral shift. So these are the terms related with the rectangular glass slab, and this glass slab will also have some refractive index, let it be mu g with respect to air. Okay, so we have refractive index of glass with respect to air, glass with respect to air. So let's just understand the different terms. So I hope you understood lateral displacement, you understood refractive index of glass with respect to air, angle of incidence, angle of refraction, and one more thing is we are going to talk about, that is between A and C there will be some distance, that is overall the this is the length of the cuboid, so we can say this is the breadth of the cuboid, and let this breadth be T. So here we have T, what is that? That is breadth of cuboid, or we can say that is this way. If we can say, we can also talk about thickness. So we can say this is the thickness from this top, that is the thickness of glass slab. That is the thickness through which the light will travel. The distance we can say through which the light will travel is basically your the thickness of the cuboid, or that is also called breadth of the cuboid. So why I am writing these terms? Because somehow they are going to be related with each other with a formula that will help you to answer some questions. So I hope you understood what I mean by T, what I mean by mu g A, what I mean by I, R, E and all. Okay, now I am going to, and the meaning of D also. So in general, if light will pass through the glass slab, then it will have the lateral displacement, and this lateral displacement will change. That is, this distance will increase or decrease. That is, this thickness can go this much, this thickness can be very low. So overall the we can say the lateral displacement will vary based on the angle of incidence, based on the refractive index of the glass, based on the thickness of the glass also. So three things will decide how much will be the lateral displacement. So in general, lateral displacement D is proportional to I. So you can write down the topic here: factors affecting. So again, all derivations will be in higher classes, not in this class, because the derivation is quite complicated for this equation that I am going to show you. So factors affecting lateral shift, that is D. So the very first factor is angle of incidence, and it is directly proportional. Means more will be the angle of incidence, more will be the gap between the emergent ray and the incident ray. Okay. It is also proportional to the thickness of the glass. Means this one I am talking about. Okay. So it also depends how you place the glass. I can place the glass like this also, this way also. If the light will travel this way, then this is our T. If the light will travel this way, so it is depending upon how you place the glass slab. So you have to remember, we are talking about this thickness through which the light will pass. Okay, so that also depends. That is how we are placing the glass slab. So in this case, this is the T. In this case, this is the T. So I'm talking about this T. And more is the thickness, more will be the lateral displacement. So again, second factor we have, it depends directly to the thickness of the glass slab. More the thickness, more will be the displacement of the ray. And it is also proportional to the refractive index of glass with respect to air. Okay, or we can say the refractive index of the given medium, that is the glass only. So the other three factors we have. This is coming from equation, derivation and simplification. Okay, so that is very complicated to understand 10th class, so I am not going for that. So overall you have to remember, that is how much will be the lateral displacement will depend on angle of incidence, will depend on thickness of the glass slab. I hope you understood the meaning of thickness. And the refractive index of the glass with respect to the first medium, that is air only. Okay, that is also possible the glass is placed in water. So if the glass is placed in water, then it will have different behavior also, because water and air, they are not same. Okay, so here in this case, this is the refractive index of glass with respect to air, and all the three are basically directly depending on the D, or we can say D is directly depending on all the three. Okay, if either of these three will increase, the displacement will increase. So these are the different things we have related with the rectangular glass slab. Diagram, how to draw the diagram, what are the different names of the angle, what are the different rays we have, how the ray of light will bend within the glass, outside the glass, what is the relation between I, R and E, and the meaning of lateral displacement, and how lateral displacement will depend on various quantity or physical quantity. It will depend on the angle of incidence, it will depend on the thickness of the glass, it will depend on the rectangular, the refractive index of the glass also, and it is directly proportional to all the three. So in short we can say it is proportional to I, T and mu G. So simple formula again, remember, this is not a formula, this is just a relation, and the formula is somehow complicated that I am not going to discuss in class 10, that is done in 12th class. Okay, let's move to the some numerical based on the understanding of refractive index and the related concept. For today topics are done, so let's see if we can do one or two numerical. Okay, so I've already selected some numerical, and these are really very important. So the question is, the refractive index of water is 4/3. The refractive index of water is 4/3, and the speed of light in air, and the speed of light in air is how much? 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So let me write down. The question is, find the speed of light in water. So find the speed of light in water. So this is again based on formula only, but few things we need to understand here. Very first, I have already said if the refractive index of a given medium, or if refractive index of a medium is given, like here the refractive index of water is 4/3, it means this is nothing but absolute refractive index. So 4/3, the absolute refractive index, that is with respect to vacuum, and somehow we understood that vacuum and air are approximately taken same for the numerical. So that is what we have to consider here. So if it is written in air, now you can see the speed of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, which is the speed of light in vacuum, not in air, but for approximation or just for simplification, the speed is written this much only. So that is you have to remember, that is overall the refractive index of water with respect to air is given, or we can say this is nothing but the absolute refractive index, which is nothing but 4/3. So here this is your absolute refractive index. You have to remember. Okay. Now this is one thing given. So let's draw the diagram. So light is traveling from where? Air to water. And just here, I'm repeating again. Air and vacuum. Here they are taken same thing. Okay. So it will have the speed of light in air. It will have the speed of light in water. And one more thing is given to you. The speed of light in air is how much? 3 to 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So here this is nothing but refractive index of water with respect to air, which is taken as absolute refractive index in this case. But this is not so equal. They are different, but for numerical approximation is that. So based on this information, we have to find how much will be the speed of light in water. So rest is just formula. We have done the concept. So this numerical I am doing just to know that in some case air and vacuum they are taken same. So if the refractive index of any medium is given, that can be with respect to the air or that can be the absolute. They are almost same. Okay. So now we know that is if the light is traveling from air, that is air to water. So VA VW. So we understood refractive index of water with respect to air. The water is second medium, air is first medium. Will be the speed of light in first medium, which is air, by speed of light in second medium, which is water. So what we have to find? VW. So VW will come this side. So this will become VA upon refractive index of water with respect to air. And now we can just put the value and get the answer. So here VA is how much? 3 into 10 to the power 8. And this is how much? 4 by 3. So after solving we can get the answer. So you can try this yourself, solve it properly, but final answer I am writing this way. That is 3 into 10 to the power 8, and this will become 4 into 3. So this will become how much? 3 is the 9 by 4 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So this will be 2 point something. Yes or no? So we can try to divide also. So 9 by 4, how much? 2.2 somewhere. This will be 2.2 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So now you can see the speed of light in water is 2.2 into 10 to the power 8, which is less than the speed of light in air. So that is how with the increase in refractive index the speed of light decreases. That you have to remember also. So all things can be verified, can be proved with numerical and experiments. Let's take a second numerical. That is refractive index of water is 4 by 3. So I am writing in short, refractive index of water is 4 by 3 and refractive index of glass is 1.65. This is given. Find refractive index of water with respect to glass. So this numerical is based on the formula that I derived in the previous class. So if I remember, if I take the two different cases, light is traveling from vacuum, that is the speed of light is C. This is your water and this is your glass, for example. Okay, so this is speed of light VW, speed of light VG. Okay, so we understood if the light will travel from vacuum to the medium, then the speed of light will be taken C in the first medium. So simply we derived in the previous case. For this one, C upon VW will be the refractive index of water, that is absolute refractive index or the refractive index we can say. For this one, C upon VG will be refractive index of glass, that is absolute. So from this we understood absolute refractive index of glass will be C upon Vg, where Vg is the speed of light in glass, and absolute refractive index of water will be C upon Vw, which is Vw is the speed of light in water, C the speed of light in vacuum. This we understood, And once we divide this C upon VW by C upon VG, what we get? Refractive index of water by the refractive index of glass. Yes or no? So I'm quickly deriving the same formula that I did in the previous class. Okay, so if you will solve it, this Vg will come top at the top and Vw will remain at denominator. C will be crossed. So this will become this one. Okay, so that is the relation we got, and according to this, the light is traveling from glass to water. This is nothing but refractive index of water with respect to glass, and that is equal to mu W by mu G. So we got a formula or derivation. So this is refractive index of water with respect to glass, which is equal to ratio of the refractive index of water and refractive index of glass. This is the formula that we need for this particular numerical. So we have given things. So this was with respect to glass that we have to find out. What is given? Refractive index of water. So that is absolute. So this is given how much? 4/3. And refractive index of glass. This is nothing but absolute refractive index. How much? 1.65. And what we have to find? Refractive index of water with respect to glass. And according to the formula, this is our relation. Okay. So I hope you understood. So directly we can put the value here. That is refractive index of water 4/3 by refractive index of glass 1.65. So again, by solving this we can get the answer. So we can say finally the refractive index of water with respect to glass will be 4 into 1.65, sorry, 4 by 3 into 1.65. So solve it and get the answer. Whatever you get, that will be the answer, and that is left for you. So don't try to learn the formulas. If you can derive the formula on the spot, it will hardly take 1 minute, and you will be very confident that your formula is accurate. And that's why I also did the same thing. Sometimes we don't remember the formula properly, but always remember, if you have to find the refractive index of one with respect to the other, for that also we can find the ratio of the absolute refractive index. So refractive index of water with respect to glass is ratio of the absolute refractive index of water by absolute refractive index of glass. Thank you. So that is all we have today, and rest we will see in the next coming classes. So today almost I have covered the concept related with the refraction and the refractive index concept. Next onwards we are moving to the next part of the refraction only, that is the lens and the related terms. So I hope you will find interest in the coming classes as well. But you must practice the numerical based on the refraction, based on the refractive index, so that you can get the confidence, you can get the doubt, and then we can discuss also. So for today is done. Just take care, be at home. Thank you, and Hari Om.